you talk about the they don't authorize usage, or I would say unilateral usage of the road fund by Samuel Toure, and which was embarrassingly covered up by the legislature, because you know that after Samuel Toure came under pressure for violating the road fund act, the very legislature in question here published a resolution and said they authorized Samuel Toure to use the money. That, in my mind, was an indication of the severe level of defect and dysfunctionality within the system of governance. Now, the founders of this republic built our democracy on three pillars. You have three branches of government that's supposed to work in three distinct manner or coordinate. So where the legislative power of the republic stop is where the executive begins. And where the executive stops is where the judiciary begins. So the appropriation power, the power to appropriate resources, money, state resources, is squarely vested in the Liberian legislature. Now, for them to have arrogated that authority to Samuel Toure on Honduras, mind you, we're talking about a legislature that has consistently proven that it is not credible, right? It is not credible. There are some scholars that have argued that in order to have a credible legislature in Liberia, we need to make it less attractive. I don't buy into that argument, because even if we make it less attractive, people will still go in there and try to circumvent the procedures to get money for themselves. So the legislature willfully, with its authority to appropriate to Samuel Toure. So when Samuel Toure used the 25 million for the National Road Fund money, the King body said, yeah, we're getting authorization, which is wrong. So where are we since the road fund money was unilaterally expanded by Samuel Toure? Where are we since Cabinet Janet was impeached illegally for obstructing the collection of the revenue in road fund from the importers? Because that was the basis upon which Cabinet Janet was impeached. When you listen to Akara's grade, they said this man was standing in the way of the collection of the money from Musa Berete and other importers of petroleum, because they are a kingsman. They made all kind of frivolous argument, which I don't believe. But one would have imagined that the CDC government really meant business. But then the reality points to the fact that they didn't really mean business, it was just another witch hunt. So we come back to the point where they cannot account for money that is being collected in the road fund. Because if the money, if they can account for it, and the immediate past boss of the road fund almost fell in problem with the government, with the CDC government. I mean, he was prematurely replaced by the government. They now have a new policy at the National Road Fund. So all of these things bring joy into question the government commitment to uphold the rule of law. Now, at this point, we have to understand that democracy and the rule of law are partners in progress. If you don't respect the rule of law, democracy cannot flourish. So therefore, you're going to have corruption being permeated. You're going to have the culture of impunity being permeated, and nobody is going to be held accountable for stealing public money. Samuel Toure unilaterally went to the road fund money and took 25 million. How did he spend the money? How was he appropriated? Who gave him the authorization? So it just stopped to a resolution that was submitted to the public and said, oh, we signed the resolution, we gave the authorization. So beyond that, what next? What next? So all of the things you now see happening at the legislature, I know that the numbers will now sway the way of the opposition, because there are people who have been
30 seconds. Mr.
Yes,
30 seconds.
After the government, they now feel embarrassed by the fact that Samuel Toure keep lying. The economy is improving, it's not improving. You see the US rate is now increasing, incrementally, everything. So, I mean, we have a long way to go in this process. We have a long way to go.
Thank you very much. And it's interesting that I think we're beginning to get to the answer to the question is, why are the roads in the southeast not developed? You're beginning to tell us that, of course, funds are being diverted for different reasons. And interestingly, I believe that it was on this show as well that Samuel Touré said that he had the support of the international partners. I think there was a letter I saw written where he had the icon or the signatories, or the letterhead of the different international partners at the bottom. Does it matter, if international partners are supporting us diverting our road fund? Does it matter, or should we be looking out for ourselves? So I'm actually going to go to you, Mo Ali, and I'm just asking rhetorical questions. Please feel free to use your 2 minutes.
Okay, that's my turn.
Oh, is it? I'm sorry. I told you,
Mo Ali. Mo, you come before me, right?
Yeah. Mo Ali came before you.
Yeah, before you.
Mo Ali, then you, and then
yeah. I didn't know Mo Ali that your new friend. Go ahead.
Mo Ali, please speak. Yeah. Mo Ali, we can't hear you. Yeah, man.
Am I on?
Now you're on, but we were not hearing you before. Now we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. My internet fluctuating tonight. Councillor Okpagwa made a brilliant point. The government have been boasting of two things. One, they've increased the budget. Two, that revenue collection is performing unprecedentedly more than any time in the history of this country. Why will you go to road funds to take 25 million from there to pay civil servants? When we were having budget shortfall, when they were calling Amara Kone the Minister of Budget shortfall,